The party planner had just confirmed the ponies, the bounce castle, and a custom cake shaped like a unicorn when 6-year-old Emma tugged on her father's sleeve with tears streaming down her face. "Daddy, please. Can she come to my birthday?" Marcus Chen looked down at his daughter, the CEO mask slipping from his face as worry creased his brow. In his 38 years, he'd negotiated billion-dollar deals without flinching, but nothing unmade him quite like his little girl's tears. "Sweetheart, who are you talking about?" Emma pointed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his corner office, down to the street below where the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the sidewalk. Marcus followed her finger to a small figure huddled against the building, a homeless woman, weathered and wrapped in layers despite the spring warmth, holding a cardboard sign. Daddy. The lady who smiles at me." Marcus felt his chest tighten. He'd walked past that woman 100 times, never really seeing her. But Emma, with a child's unclouded eyes, had seen something he'd missed. "Emma, honey, I don't think. She's always there when we leave, Daddy. She waves at me. Yesterday, she had a flower, just a dandelion from the sidewalk crack, and she gave it to me. See." Emma pulled a pressed, wilted dandelion from her backpack. "I saved it." Marcus knelt down, his expensive suit creasing against the marble floor, no longer caring about the conference call he was missing or the shareholders waiting in the boardroom. His daughter's eyes held something he'd lost somewhere between his first startup and his third acquisition, the ability to see people instead of obstacles. "Emma, birthday parties are for friends, for kids from school. But Daddy, you always say kindness is the most important thing. You said that when people forget to be kind, the whole world gets darker." Emma's lower lip trembled. She looks so sad. "And it's my birthday. Shouldn't I be able to invite who I want?" The logic was irrefutable, delivered with the devastating honesty only a 6-year-old could muster. Marcus glanced at his assistant, Jennifer, who stood in the doorway with a tablet full of urgent messages. She looked away, but not before he caught the glimmer in her eyes. "Let me think about it, sweetheart." But Emma wasn't done. "Mommy used to say that sometimes angels come disguised as people who need help. She said we should always look for the angels." The mention of his late wife, Sarah, who died 2 years ago in a car accident, nearly broke him. Sarah had been the heart of their family, the one who volunteered at shelters and saw humanity in every face. He'd buried himself in work after her death, building empires while his daughter quietly absorbed the lessons her mother had taught in her brief time on Earth. That evening, Marcus did something he hadn't done in years. He left work early. He and Emma walked down to the street together, and for the first time, he really looked at the woman against his building. She was younger than he'd assumed, maybe in her 50s, with kind eyes that crinkled when she saw Emma. Her sign read, "Hungry. Anything helps. God bless." "Hello," Marcus said, his voice catching. "I'm Marcus. This is my daughter, Emma." The woman's face lit up with genuine warmth. "Emma, my little friend. I'm Margaret." Her voice was educated, cultured, another assumption shattered. "Margaret," Emma said solemnly, "my birthday is Saturday. Will you come to my party?" Margaret's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Marcus, searching his face for the cruel punchline that must be coming. But Marcus found himself nodding, his throat too tight for words. "There will be cake," Emma added, as if this detail might seal the deal. "And ponies." "Oh, sweetheart," Margaret whispered, "that's the kindest invitation I've ever received. But I don't have." She gestured at her worn clothing, her situation. Marcus finally found his voice. "Please come. Emma would be honored. We both would." Over the next few days, Marcus couldn't get Margaret out of his mind. He did what any CEO would do, he investigated. What he discovered broke something open inside him. Margaret had been a teacher for 20 years before her husband died, leaving her with medical debt she couldn't pay. She'd lost her house, her savings, everything. For 3 years, she'd been surviving on the streets, invisible to thousands of people who passed her daily. People like him. On Saturday morning, Marcus made a decision. He sent Jennifer out with instructions and a company credit card. When Margaret arrived at the party, brought by Jennifer in a company car, she was wearing a new dress, nothing extravagant, just something clean and dignified. But it was the look on her face that made Marcus's eyes sting. Hope, cautious and fragile as a soap bubble. Emma screamed with delight and ran to hug her. You came. The other parents at the party shifted uncomfortably. Marcus saw the sidelong glances, the whispered questions. But he also saw his daughter's pure joy as she pulled Margaret to meet the ponies, to see the bounce castle, to show her everything. Halfway through the party, Marcus found Margaret standing alone, watching Emma play with the other children, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she said simply. "You have no idea. I haven't felt human in so long. People look through you when you're homeless. You become invisible, like you never mattered at all." Marcus swallowed hard. "Margaret, can I ask you something? If you could have one thing, anything, what would it be?" She didn't hesitate. A chance. Just a chance to matter again. To teach, to help children, to be useful. "I don't want a handout. I want a purpose." Monday morning, Marcus called an emergency meeting with his HR director and the head of his company's charitable foundation, a foundation that had existed on paper, doing minimum required giving, but nothing that actually touched lives. "I want to create a program," he announced. "Hiring and training people who've experienced homelessness. Real jobs, with dignity and support. And I want Margaret to help design it. She's a teacher, she'll teach them." His board was skeptical, but Marcus was the majority shareholder, and his mind was made up. More than that, his heart was made up, broken open by a 6-year-old's wisdom and an invisible woman's grace. The program started small, 5 people that first year, including Margaret as the coordinator. But it grew, and as it did, Marcus found himself transformed. He started seeing people again, really seeing them. The janitor who came in at night had dreams of being a chef. The security guard was writing a novel. Every person had a story, had value, had been somebody's Emma once. 3 years later, at Emma's 9th birthday party, Margaret stood beside Marcus as over 50 program graduates gathered to celebrate. They'd come from homelessness to employment, from invisibility to community. "Daddy," Emma said, pressing against his side, "do you remember when you almost said no?" Marcus looked down at his daughter, then at Margaret, then at all the lives that had been changed because one little girl had the courage to see someone everyone else looked past. "I remember, sweetheart. And I thank God every day that you taught me how to see again." Emma smiled, the same smile her mother used to give him. "Mommy always said kindness is contagious. You just have to let it spread." She was right, of course. Kindness was contagious. It just needed a 6-year-old girl brave enough to share it, and a father willing to let his heart break open wide enough to let the light back in.